everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we are going to be doing a high-speed off-road review with a 2021 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4XE. It is super windy, and so with all that being said, we're going to bomb down a few of the trails, see how well the Wrangler takes it, and yeah, let's get right into the video. So we're going to start things off here in the Wrangler 4XE Rubicon, and I'm putting it in hybrid mode. And by the way, I know I normally have wheel shots for this off-roading stuff. I will not have that for today's video. And if you guys are wondering if I'm just being lazy, that is not the reality. The reality is that the fender flares on the Wrangler are so big that I cannot get any GoPro view on the wheels. The GoPros can't stick to the fender flares themselves because they're plastic. This doesn't have the body painted fender flares, and so that doesn't work. And then if I put it on the body of the Wrangler, then you just see a fender flare, you don't see any wheel shot. So to make up for that, I do have my tripod, and so I'm going to try to get you guys some exterior shots for today's video with the Wrangler 4XE. But aside from that, we're actually going to pop it into the manual mode because that's going to make things a little bit easier. The Wrangler is way better at high speeds than I thought. I've been giving the Wrangler some crap for quite some time because of how it drives on road and how it's a little bit harsh. But guess what, people? It makes up for it off-road. It actually does a really good job, and I don't have the tires super low. You guys can see right here, I've got them down to 32 PSI for most of the tires. And these monotube shocks actually do a really good job of absorbing everything. And yeah, overall, it's actually really good. Now, you do get that normal kind of like Wrangler floatiness, right? And I'm actually gonna try to get on here already. You do get the Wrangler floatiness. That is definitely a thing. But the solid front axle isn't as big of a deal as I had, kind of thought in the past. I've taken a few Gladiators off-road. My friend has a Sport that we took off-road, and that thing was just so harsh every time we went over a bump. But this is actually doing a really solid job with absorbing everything, again, with just these monotube shocks and with the solid front axle. So yeah, the Wrangler can actually handle high speeds. I'm impressed. I am really impressed. Now this trail isn't as much with the suspension itself. This is more with stability. Obviously it's mostly in a straight line. There is a little bit of up and down, but if a vehicle doesn't have good suspension, like I'm not trying to roast anything, but like the Cadillac Escalade that I took off-road, that thing is made for on-road use, obviously, not off-road use. And that thing on this trail was just, pretty bumpy, pretty harsh. This actually absorbs everything. So yeah, that is definitely impressive. One thing I will mention, the soft top still, even when we're not going super fast off-road, it still is pretty loud, pretty obnoxious. Now if you guys are wondering speed-wise on this, I always use the Raptor and the TRX as kind of like the baseline because those are the high-speed Baja vehicles. This is obviously not meant for high-speed driving. This is meant for crawling. And in a TRX or Raptor, I'd probably be going down this trail like 70. We're going mid-50s. So we wouldn't necessarily keep up with those vehicles, but the fact that we're still going this quick, I think, is a testament to what Jeep has done here with the Wrangler. And obviously when you're, actually getting to the trail itself, you're going to be able to do it at a really good pace. Now here's the bump that I don't want to gotta slow down for that. If you guys saw the Frontier video at the high speed, we went over that bump pretty hard and well, nothing broke, thank goodness, but it was terrifying. Like the side flew up, and yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. Now we're gonna pop it back into the automatic mode. Woo! The Wrangler is so, by the way, we did that in two-wheel drive. The Wrangler is so tail happy, and you can actually step out with the back end because this has the power with the 4XE powertrain. So we're starting up again, burnout. Oh man, the 4XE is quite some fun. You guys can see the dust cloud we just created. back there. And now this is, you guys know, my favorite high-speed trail. I bomb down this trail with the TRX all the time, and the reason that I like this trail is it really shows how good a vehicle's suspension is at higher speeds. It shows stability as well, and then it also pushes the ground clearance, because if a vehicle doesn't have very good ground clearance, then it's going to bottom out in certain portions of this trail, because the grooves are really deep, and again, you get a lot of compression with the suspension as well. So it'll also show us the travel. So it's just a really good trail overall to just show how good a vehicle is with everything. And the one thing that I'm really liking about the Wrangler is the size. I can actually maneuver around the trail a little bit, which is definitely a positive. Definitely wider than the mid-sized trucks that I usually take down, that I have taken down this trail the last few times, but it still does a good job. And we are still in two-wheel drive, and oh, I know you guys are probably liking the mud because of how it's gonna look when I get the exterior shots, but I'm just thinking of the cleanup afterwards that I gotta deal with. And that's actually why I have all those towels. I'm gonna literally lay all of my camera equipment and everything on towels so that I don't get any mud in the interior, because I don't want to deal with cleaning that up. It is such a pain. Now, definitely can feel the floatiness of the Wrangler here. Not really wanting to push it too hard too fast. The one thing about the Wrangler is it definitely kind of, I mean, this sounds bad, but like, hear me out, people. Kind of feels like it's gonna tip over sometimes. And so like that, it's interesting. It's not the most confidence inspiring, but you can actually push it a decent amount. And we're gonna just go that way. As fun as it would be to go through the mud, again, clean up, people. Cleanup. The travel with the Rubicon though is really good actually, so that's definitely a positive. We're gonna see kind of how we do on this high speed. So if you guys are wondering, Raptor TRX, you can get up to over 100 miles an hour on this. We're probably not going to be doing that with the Wrangler. Yeah, you guys can see, you just have to put so much steering input, but I mean, it does a good job. It's not bone jarring. Like, again, it's so hooks up things pretty well, and that solid front axle is not being an annoyance whatsoever. So that is definitely a positive. Now this is the roller coaster trail is what I'm going to dub this. Oh, yep, that's definitely a lot of mud. Oh boy, Ben Hardy complaining about mud. Woo! This thing likes to kind of stick on the ground though, I will say that. I do like that characteristic. It's, again, it's got enough travel that it kind of just stays planted and nice. Gosh, this is impressive. Yeah, and this shows right here, okay, this is, you guys probably can't tell too much on camera. This is pretty deep. This shows the ground clearance pretty well. And then this is, of course, the thing that I always go over pretty slow because, oh, yep, we're gonna fall in. We're gonna fall in. Ah! Nope, nope, maybe. Okay, we're good. Oh, I was scared there for a second. That is the skid plate denter if you fall in off the side because you just kind of slam. And the Wrangler, again, it's a little bit floaty. I guess that's the one thing that I will, ooh, let's miss that rock. So one thing that I will criticize this for is it definitely kind of just floats all over the place. And here's why this is a roller coaster trail. Whoop, woo. And again, if a vehicle doesn't have very good, oh, there we go, we hit the bump stop. If vehicle doesn't have very good travel, then you're gonna completely bottom out. So that right there, that shows you, again, with the solid front axle, I guess that's one downside, is if you kind of go over stuff at just the right speed and you get full suspension compression, it's gonna hit really hard, and you think that you're braking something, but it's just because this has a solid front axle. So that's where independent front suspension does win on a trail like this. So I guess take that into account. But again, that's not really what this isn't what the Wrangler's about. I figured that you guys would want to see this. so that you guys can kind of see what the Wrangler would do if you are going to be driving to, like, you know, when you're driving to an off-road location like Moab, for example. A lot of the movements, you have to drive quite a bit just to get to the actual like rock crawling itself, and so you're going to have to do these little desert runs and everything. There's a voice in my head, go through the mud, do it for the views. Okay, it's impressive though that we were able to do this all in two-wheel drive, considering this is pretty, I mean, this time of the year, again, you've got a little bit of mud, it's really sandy, so grip is not going to be the best. So we're nearing the end of the trail, so I'm going to kind of give my final thoughts. So overall, the Wrangler does a really good job at high speeds, a lot better than I expected it to, considering the solid front axle. But I'm glad that I got to show you guys the deficit of the solid front axle right there. When you do get full suspension compression, hit the bump stops, it shakes the whole vehicle. It is jarring, it's scary, you think that you broke something. And same thing happened with my friend's Gladiator when we took it down that trail. And I know this is the jump, guys, but we are not going to be jumping today, sorry. This is a rock crawling vehicle, it's not a jumping vehicle. I can imagine it would hit so hard if we actually popped up, but yeah. High speed stability, it's not the best. It does a good job though. I mean, you can go a pretty decent pace. So this is like speed wise, again, you're like 85-90% of the speed of, you know, a Raptor TRX. So again, it does a pretty good job. It's just it's not quite on that level. And the 4XE is fast though, so that's definitely a huge positive. And let's actually see what we've been getting fuel economy wise. Oh, I forgot to reset it, so that's my bad. That's not accurate for the off-road. I'm sure it's still getting over 10 miles per gallon though. We used quite a bit of range though. Like, that was just a few miles, and we used like half of the electric range. So this thing just blows through the electric range when you are going off-road, so it can give you that instant power and torque. But I guess for the high speed rating, TRX and Raptor, that's like that's the benchmark, so that's gonna be a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna rate this at a 6.5 out of 10, and it's just because that solid front axle, right? It does good 90% of the time, but the second you get that full suspension compression, it is bone jarring, it is scary, and it makes you not want to do high speed stuff. So other than that, I'm super impressed. I didn't expect the Wrangler to do as good as it did on that trail. Now let's get some things up for high-speed off-roading with this Wrangler Rubicon 4xE. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're stopping for the first time, please subscribe. I'll see all of you in the next video.